Hey there everyone, welcome back to Game Vine, and my name is David, and today we're going to be reviewing another Slugfest game that is not the Red Dragon Inn. I know, quite a change on this channel, but don't worry, there is more Red Dragon Inn in the future. But in today's review of High Noon Saloon, we're going to be visiting the Wild West and having ourselves a good old-fashioned bar shootout. So in this Take That player elimination shootout game, you're going to be trying to knock out your fellow cowboys by either punching them with your hands or shooting them with your Peacemaker gun. So have your guns on the ready, partner, because you're going to be experiencing yourself quite a firefight. Okay, let me show you what comes in the box. Okay, so with that being the worst John Wayne impression that you've ever heard, let's bust into the contents of this box. So let's first go over the reference page and the character board. There are 6 of these because you can play up to 6 players, and the card stock or the cardboard that they put this on is pretty simple and or standard, but this lays out what your character is doing at that point in time, and the page here is just a piece of paper, but this lays out a complete turn and what you have to do phase wise on your actual turn. Next, let's go over the cards. First, we have the smaller card, the load deck, and this is how you're going to be loading your guns. It has up to 6 bullets, and it goes all the way down to 1 measly bullet here. Also, there is a fully loaded card too, which is awesome. So that was the load deck. Now let's go over the cowboy cards. These are the characters that you're actually going to be picking from and going to be representing yourself as. They are double-sided. You can have a very bland base game with no cowboy power, and you'll just place this character right on the player sheet there. I recommend always play with the cowboy powers. I'm not convinced all these cowboy powers are balanced. Some are better than others, but you'll find out which one is best for your play style, and you'll find out the bad ones and throw them aside. So that was the cowboy deck. Now let's go over the last deck that we have here, and that is the bulk of the cards of the saloon deck. Now this has a variety of things in it. Weapons, attack boosters, defenders, teamwork cards, all that kind of stuff, reload cards, but I'll go into that in more detail on the how-to portion of the video. And again, the card stock here for the cards on all of them is pretty standard. It's thin, though the art on all of them is really nice, and this one is my favorite card of the game because it reminds me of one of my favorite movies. I'll let you guess there. So those were the cards. Now let's go over the cardboard components, and again, it's going to be a standard production. It's nothing spectacular, though it's nothing like crazy low grade. It's good enough to get the game started. The first cardboard component we have here are the hearts, and this is basically what you're going to be keeping track of your health. And the bullets are the next thing. You can see it's kind of thin cardboard. Again, the 10 markers associate with the health, and these are the actual pawn markers for your cowboys. They are double-sided, orange and white ring around them, and I'll get into why that's important later. The last thing that we have here is the tiny board. That would be my biggest gripe in the production, though it's not a huge gripe. It's just I wish the board was a bit bigger. So that is all the components in the box of High Noon Saloon. Now let's get into how to play this game. So I have this game set up here for 3 players. You'll start the game by picking a cowboy and either putting him on the base game side or the cowboy power side. Again, I recommend going with the powers. Then you'll take the heart marker here and put it on 20 grit. You can put it on 30, but I don't think that is a good idea because the charm of this game is that it's fast-paced fun, and if you put it on 30, that will just lengthen the game even more. And then you'll take the saloon deck and deal out 7 cards to each player. And once you do that, each player will get an opportunity to equip weapons and or a weapon. The one that I have here, I'll go over the weapons in more detail later. I will just put the red hot fire poker on my fist. If you don't have weapons, you can always use your fisticuffs. Also take note that when you do equip a weapon that requires bullets, like this 6 shooter here, you'll always flip over the top load deck. And this is going to tell you how many bullets that you're going to start with. If it exceeds the amount of bullets, you just get the whole clip. That's where these little bullet markers come into play. This one gets 5 bullets, and that's how you're going to keep track of that. The last thing that you'll do to get started, you'll pick a first player, and they'll start to put their player marker anywhere that they want on the board. You can go in the orange circles or the white circles, and I'll get into why they're different colors a little later. So now that you're ready to start the game, let me go over how the board works, and I'll show you the phases of each player's turn. So on the board there are two different types of circles, orange and white. Essentially on your turn phase you can move 2 times, but you can opt just to move once, and I'll tell you why that's important in a second. So the arrows on the board here determine how you can shoot and your line of sight. In the middle here you don't have any cover, and I'll go into the cover in a second, but it allows you to shoot into multiple places. Where it has arrows going in and out, you can shoot in here, this place can shoot there, and this place can shoot here. You can also shoot into the stairs, and you can shoot at the bar as well. The other two emblems that we have are the shield and the burst. Now these are important when it comes to the firefight, because this is how much defense you gain from cover, and this is how much attack you gain from the advantage of being in that spot. So multiple places have shields for cover, like this table, the piano, and this storage room has a lot of defense, but it has negative to your attack. The other symbols that we have here are the plus sign here. This is the medic. If you're the only one hunkered down behind the bar, you drink a little bit of booze and you heal yourself 2 crit. The other one here is behind the piano, has 2 bullet symbols. If you're the only one behind that at the end of your turn, you gain 2 bullets, so that's another way to reload. And the last emblem that we have here is this orange arrow. Now during your first move phase you can move out of cover, and if you're on the balcony you get +2 to your attack. So thematically you're doing some kind of like flying punch or flying shot at somebody. So that is how the board is broke down. Now let me show you how the phases work in each player's turn. So this just being paper, this is one of the more helpful things that come in the box, and I really like how they lay this out. During a player's turn you're going to go from 1 to 6 through all these phases in this order. So the scavenger phase kind of works like something that they have in Red Dragon Inn, where you can discard as many cards as you want from your hand of these saloon cards and draw up to 7. So if you don't like any of these cards, you can discard some or keep 1 or 2 or even all of them and scavenge for more. The next phase that we have here is the weapons phase. This is where you can equip weapons or switch weapons out if you want to, or drop weapons as well. This is how you can prepare for your upcoming attack phase. And the next phase is the jump phase. This is the first move if you choose to take it. You may move to no cover. No cover is this middle area here. And if you do, you have restricted movement. When you move to no cover, this is why the little pond circles here have the orange circle, because this signifies that you took that first jump phase. And the next phase is the fighting phase. This is where you'll declare whether you're making a gun or a melee attack, and you always got to declare how many bullets that you're going to be shooting out of that, because as you can see on this one, the more bullets you shoot, the different result that you'll get. Now the next thing that you do during the fighting stage is that you play enhancements. Now there are 2 different kinds of enhancements. So the first of 2 enhancements that you can use is the gun enhancement, and you'll tell that by the gun emblem up here and the plus burst number. And all of these that have a plus burst number, that's how you can tell they are an enhancement. So on my fight phase, I will declare that I'm using a gun, and then I would declare how many bullets I'm going to be using, because as you can see, you'll get different results if you use less or more bullets. And then I will play an attack enhancement. So you can play as many of these cards that are applicable. So if I have 3 gun power-up cards, I could play all of them, though they have to be different titles. So I can't play 2 different Taste Hot Lead. So that is something to keep in mind. So after I've done all those steps of the fight phase, I declare a target that is applicable. So anyone that I can shoot, let's say that I'm shooting with her, I can shoot in here at this person. Now that person, Annie Oakley, basically who she is, gets to play 1 defense card, and I'll show you what those look like right now. So keep in mind, like I said before, you can only play 1 defense card as a player, but you can play multiple power-ups to your attack. And it has to be appropriate. So I'm going to be blocking her shooting attack with this gun defense, but if this was a melee with a fist, then you couldn't do that. So I'll play the 1 defense here, then we'll add up all the boosters and the amount of the gun's attack and negate any defensive cards, and keep in mind the cover as well, and that is the result that the player defending is going to take. So say that she took 5 damage, would move that down to 15 like that. And after that fight phase, you do the hunker down phase. Now, if you did not choose to do the jump phase earlier, you can move anywhere that you want if the spot is open to a white circle. So I could move all the way up to the balcony from the bar if I wanted to, if I didn't do the jump down phase. If I did execute the jump phase like this person here did, I can only move to any orange circle, which are these two spots right here, during the hunker down phase. And after the hunker down phase, you get another weapons phase. This is where you can switch out your weapons again or equip anything that you might have. The one thing to keep in note on the guns and the holster emblem here is that it has to have it down in the bottom corner for it to be applicable and appropriate to put in a holster. So you cannot put this fire poker in your gun holster. It's just not going to work. So those are all 6 of the phases during the player's turn, and I know it seems like a lot, but once this game starts, it gets the ball rolling fast. The last thing that you'll account for is special cover effects. If you are the only person in your spot, you can reap the rewards. So let's say that these two are here and she's here, and he just ended his phase during this point. Normally he would be able to get 2 bullets, but they are together, so he cannot get 2 bullets. Though Annie Oakley down here ends her turn behind the bar, she will execute the 2 health points. The other thing to keep in mind when you're doing a melee attack, you have to be in the same spot. So the arrows only apply for the gun's line of sight. So there's that. If these 2 people were here, she could execute her melee attack. So you also can play in teams. So if you play 4 players, you can go 2 on 2, or if you play in 6 players, 2 on 2 on 2, and there are cards to help you out, which I'm going to go over in a second. The thing that you'll do in the setup that's different in a team play is that you will put all 30 grit on one player and then give them this 10 plus marker, essentially giving the team 40 points. Now when you take damage as a team, say if he got shot and this is his teammate, again, she wouldn't have anything on her board, they would both go down together. So essentially you have 40 points as a team. So you can't just go in as one player and shoot people and have the other player hunker down, because you'll lose that way. So I like how they did that. It was a great idea and keeps the game interesting for all players. So with all that fleshed out, now that you know how to play the game, let me go over some of the cards so you can get more of an idea how this game plays. So let's first start with the weapons. Let's go over the melee weapons here. The first one we have is the chair. Drop the chair when used, so it basically breaks. That's a really cool one. This one here is a cast iron skillet. This can actually be dropped to protect yourself, so you can get 4 shield from that. The Bowie knife is something that you can throw and use kind of as a gun effect. And that will do 3 damage instead of the standard 4 here, and that's how you can see how much power a weapon has. Normally it will be up in the left corner. The next one here has the same effect, the tomahawk, but instead of decreasing in attack value, tomahawks are really good to be thrown, and it'll go to 4 from 3. And for the melee, here are some of the power-ups. Again, you can only play one of the same title, so if you play one fierce, you can only play one fierce during that attack. This is +2, a forceful melee attack. Remember, the signifier for what type of attack that you're boosting is up in the left-hand corner. The next one we have here is twist your wrist, and this one has kind of a power to it. If your attack causes damage, the target must drop the weapon in their fist, so it can heat things up and help you get a breath. So now let's go over the guns. First up, we have the Peacemaker. In today's standard, obsolete, but a really good gun in the game. And this is how much damage it can be used for melee. So that's what that emblem means. It also can be holstered. So this is as many bullets as you can get. The next gun we have here is a rifle. And this one does different things the more bullets you shoot. So this can go up to 8. It'll do 1 damage for 1 bullet, 3 damage for 2 bullets, and of course 4 damage for 3 bullets. The next one we have here is the double barrel shotgun. Now it can't hold that many bullets, though in this one, if you use 2 bullets instead of doing the 4 damage, you can attack 2 different targets, and that kind of happens on multiple gun cards as well. Now let's go on to the attack boosters for the guns, and again you can only use one title per attack. Fancy Shooting allows you to spend 1 bullet to do 1 extra damage, or 2 more bullets to do 3. The next one here is Lightning Draw. This attack may be blocked but cannot be counterattacked. So there are stuff like that, and I'll get into that in a second. And that does +1 damage. The last gun power-up we have here is Taste Hot Lead Vermin, and you've seen that before. Gives you +2 to your attack. And the next up is the gun defense. Very simple. You defend 2, though this, and of course you have to have the gun emblem up here, you may make a counterattack. Now counterattacks work in this fashion. You will resolve all the damage that you take after you play your 1 defense card, and then you will make an attack. Depending if it's a gun or a melee attack, you will play as many power-up cards, and it will go as standardly play. They will get to play 1 defense card, and then the turn order will commence. So that's how a counter is played out, and those are all the defensive ones, and this is another counter for a melee attack. So there are also counters for those as well. The other 2 cards we have here, this is a way to get bullets instead of just getting them traditionally at the load phase. And because basically the guns become pretty useless, you can use them as melee weapons sometimes, though you might drop one just to get a new loaded gun. But in this way, these cards allow you to restock those guns that you have with bullets. So you're digging for bullets in your pocket, and or you have one of those stashes around you. There are a few special cards that I want to go over before I get into the overview of the video, and this is I Got the Drop on You. Now you can use this when you're shooting. The attack ignores cover damage on the board, so you can just shoot them, and if they are not in cover, it gets +1 to the attack. So that is one of the special cards. This one here I like a lot. I'm Calling You Out. This basically takes 1 player from any position they are and puts them in no cover, but you also have to jump in no cover, and this will count as doing a jump phase, so you will have limited movement on your hunker down phase, but that is really cool to get somebody out of the storage room or something like that. And there are a few more special cards like that. I'll let you go over those. The last ones that we have here are team cards. Now these you'll add to the deck if you're playing teams, and this is cover fire. You can shoot to help your teammate out there. You can chuck a gun to them or a weapon so they have something equipped. And the last few we have here is your friends can't help you now. You basically can wail on the other cowboys there, and why don't you fight me instead? So this allows you to take the damage off your teammate. So those are all the cards in High Noon Saloon. So by now you should already know if this game is for you or not, but as we always do on Gamevine, I'm going to tell you what I think and give this game a grade. So let's do that right now. Let's grade High Noon Saloon. So that was High Noon Saloon, and as I said, I'm going to be giving this game a grade, and I settled on a 75%, which is a mid-C for this game. And I'm going to get all the bad out of the way because ultimately I do like this game a lot. So the first bad thing I want to talk about are the components. The bullets here are the bane of my existence. I can never pick them up without sliding them all the way off the table. And of course the board. I think even with this small box they could have fit a bigger board in there, just because sometimes it gets kind of crowded in the no cover area and you just want just a little bit of extension. Though with that being said, all that falls to the wayside when you're actually playing this game. You forget how small the board is, you forget how fiddly some of the pieces are because the game is so immersive and drenched in theme. And the last bad thing I want to talk about, and this is a minor quibble, is the line of sight. Why can't you shoot somebody off the balcony? I understand if you jump off of it, you're going to do more damage, but you can see everything up there, even behind the bar. So, and the storage room you can't really shoot out of, though I'm pretty positive they made that decision to balance the game out, because it probably wouldn't flow so well if you could shoot from those areas. Okay, so that's all out of the way. Now let's start talking about all the good, because I do like this game quite a bit, more than I thought I would when I opened the box. So you can't judge a book by its cover. I really admire Slugfest for the way that they execute theme. Red Dragon Inn, that is one of the reasons why I like it so much, because there's so much flavor, and they did it again in High Noon Saloon with just the art on the cards and the way that the gameplay plays out. And I like Western games, and I like Take That games. So the pairing of the two was magnifique, a very, very good feast. And Take That games are all around right now, and I don't think a better theme could execute it better than shooting in the Wild Wild West. Though I will say this game can be very luck-based. You could be in the lead the whole game, and in 2 turns, in a larger player game at that, you could get taken out that next round. And with that being said, larger games of this are going to be much better because it's really thematic. People are shooting and jumping and punching. That's where I would say the game shines most. So if you have a game group that likes to take that aspect and fast-paced motion that has a very strong Western feel to it, I can't recommend this game enough. I really do like this game, even though the grade is a little low, and that really corresponds with some of the components. And speaking of components, I smell a spice up in this game's future that consists of cowboy miniatures and some 3D bullets. And that was High Noon Saloon in a nutshell. Thank you so much everyone for watching today's review. I hope it was insightful, and I hope it gave you a gauge on if this game is right for you or not. And I also want to send out a huge thanks to Slugfest Games for providing me with a review copy of this so I can share the experience with all the fans out there. Ladies and gentlemen of Slugfest, you have another winner on your hands. I really do enjoy this game. So that is it everyone. Please like and subscribe at the end of the video here. I really would appreciate that. And until the next time that I see you, have a great rest of your day and a great time with all that you play. I've been Dave from GameVine. Put 'em up, partner.